Banner year how Jayson Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and Brad Stevens preserved to lead Boston Celtics to a record-breaking title. Every Celtics championship found its way there with a different type of team. No two Celtics championship teams are alike. What is the only common thread you see in all these championships?
Perseverance and desire. Those are the being able to lace it up and be mentally tough. You can have talent, but to be mentally tough is, I think, was that thread that ties those teams together. I think about the Russell teams. I think about JoJo White's team and Havlicek. I think about those teams. Those are the things. Then I think about my Celtic team and then Paul Pierce and then now Tatum Brown. Just the attitude and the perseverance. I think that was the thing that's so great.
I mean, we're in an era of analytics. I mean, there's no denying it. And the Celtics seem to play a type of small ball analytic play, but I think this has pretty been a common thread throughout at least the past 20 years to get a lot of quality players that are mid to high level and have them play together versus having three superstars where you were blessed with because you had Paul Pierce and the big man. But outside of those teams, your team, they were pretty balanced teams. Would you say that that's true?
I don't know if that's true or not, because you think about the teams I'm talking about. You're talking about Hall of Famers teams, all Hall of Famers. You talk about Havlicek and JoJo White and Dave Cowens playing together, Hall of Famers. You think about the team that, my particular era, when you think about Kevin McHale, Robert Parrish, Dennis Johnson, Larry Bird. Now you go on and you have Tatum, one of the top players in the league, Brown, one of the top players in the league. So I think the thread is, you persevere, but you also have amazing talent when you think about those teams and Russell's teams during the time they came together. So fundamentally, I think there was some great players, but they matched. What you're saying is that those things, they matched together really well, and the continuity really made it cool to be around those great players. And it seemed like they put their egos and their games to the side, so for the commonality of winning a championship.
1981, you got the MVP, Finals MVP. Who did you steal it from? Who was in the locker room giving you the side eye?
Nobody, because I played better than anybody on that team. As great as Kevin McHale, one of the all-time great players, was in his first year in the NBA. How many points you think he averaged for the team that year in the championship? Just take a guess.
I will say about 7, 8.
4.
Oh.
4 points. So I don't think he was looking at me sideways. One of the games, I think, one of the deciding games, I had 28, 15, and 6 in the game. So I don't think anybody was looking at me side-eyed, thinking that, I had taken that from the great Larry Bird at that particular time. I just played well.
Sometimes you're right. When you see that 81 team, was it just the right time and the right chemistry with just really good players?
I think that there was some things that the players were right and the time was right. We were down 1981. We were down to Philadelphia, a great team, 3-1, and had to bounce back. And we were one of the few teams ever to bounce back and take it to 7 and win the 7th game in Boston. So we knew what we had to do. And those teams, that's what made it really cool and really great to be with guys who could be down, but at the same time weren't down because they weren't going to give up.
It's when a championship comes together and you guys get on a roll. Now, that team, do you feel that you were known for physicality, or do you think that series versus the Sixers made you, or like solidified you as a real physical team that you can go ahead and take that championship round like champs?
It's funny you say that. Yeah, we became a physical team, but the physicality became a physical team in 1984 when we played the Lakers. And the new rules were implemented that year for flagrant fouls because both teams were doing that to each other. So I think it was not even the Philly series, but more so later on against the Lakers in 1984, where it became more like warfare than it was anything else.
Let's talk about that. I mean, basketball has changed from the 80s, 90s, and to now, and the rules have changed. The officiating is inconsistent now, right? You got some games being called, for fouls, and then there's games where the team is physical, and then there's tic-tac fouls. The officiating needs to be more consistent for the NBA really to get a foothold now?
I think that games are decided or officiated on how players play. And players are going to adapt sometimes to calls. We've seen any particular thing in an NFL or baseball or all kinds of sports. I think it was a couple years ago, I remember a play was so blatantly wrong. I think it was Cincinnati, I think might have been playing somebody in football, and they threw a little flare out, and the guy was about to catch it, but he was tackled before the ball ever got there, and the flag should have been thrown. But officials are human. They're going to make mistakes, and the players, what you have to do is to adapt to the coaching, to the officiating, and that's what's going to make the difference.
We're living in a day and age now. I mean, you're instant classic, my friend. You've been around a while. Has sports betting changed the way players play or what they're focused on?
No, I don't think the betting has, and it's real strange that it's real kind of ironic you would say that, because during my particular era, during the 80s, the FBI would always come in the beginning of the season and talk to the players about, not betting and not telling people information about the games and who's going to play, who's not going to play. Now it's completely different in the fact that you know who's going to play, you know who's not going to play, you know who's officiating the game because of the betting and the gambling that goes along with it. Thankfully, the players have made so much money, to me, that they can't be influenced by, bettors or like, look, I give you $15,000 to do this or do that. I make $15 million. I make $30 million. So the game can't be influenced that way. But gambling has changed the way the game is perceived and looked at for the normal fan. I was at a game about a year ago. Celtics were up by 15 points. We're down by 15 points late in the game. And Tatum hit just a nondescript shot. This was in the garden. And these two guys were in the front row, jumped up and started hugging each other like they had won the Super Bowl. Well, now you know what that was about. It was about Tatum getting a parlay for him. So the game is looked at by fans more than players with gambling.
All right, the book, Banner Year, how Jayson Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and Brad Stevens persevered to lead the Boston Celtics to a record-breaking title. What can fans expect from you in this book?
What fans are going to see, they're going to see a story about the Celtics and how they won with Brown, Tatum, and Brad Stevens at the anchor. Brad Stevens became the head of this team, and when it came to changing over. And don't forget, we also forget about how good Joe Mazzulla was as a coach to win his first championship, but also to talk about Tatum and Brown, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. You said look at each other side-eyed. Well, did Tatum look at Brown side-eyed when Brown was the Finals MVP? It's more about winning a championship. And I talked to the players one time before. You're going to be known more about winning the championship than winning the Finals MVP. And those guys have something collectively that they can put in their hats and say, this is what we're done. This is what we've done.
Thank you so much, Cedric Maxwell. Thank you so much for your contribution to basketball. And you're still calling games. I mean, you're still out there having fun on the court.
Yeah, having a lot of fun. This is my 30th year as a broadcaster. So, yeah, I've had a lot of fun with this thing.
All right, sir. Thank you very much for your time.
All right. Have a good one.